As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. We do not teach you how to rise to the occasion. We teach you how to fall to your level of preparation. Boy, oh boy, was it one of those days. Impromptu 10-mile run today. Went into it saying I'm gonna do about 8. Then the adrenaline kicked in. And in fact, it's the first time trying out a pair of, let me make sure you guys see them. Get them on camera. You guys can see that. Get them on camera. First time trying out a pair of these Puma Twitches that I picked up yesterday. I said, what the hell, why not? First time trying them on, why not knock out a 10-mile run? And for the most part, they lasted pretty well. Lighter on the feet. I got a register for a 5K getting back on the races this weekend, so definitely have to break them in and do what I had to do to do what I got to do to make sure I'm placing or winning my age group. Making sure I'm winning my age group. Plain and simple. That's always the goal whenever I join one of these races. All right, so all that being said, let's get into today's Move Swiftly Thought, which we have another top five Tuesday, which I may or may not get to on the live stream today. Seeing that I do have a couple errands to run this morning. I got an oil change. I got to get to some situations that I'm dealing with from a work standpoint. I got to get to those ASAP. Seeing that there's some people out there that's trying to pull out a side of ours one that they really ain't ready to fuck with. So I'll just leave it at that for now. You don't need to know nothing else. We'll leave it at that, and everything else will be handled accordingly. So all that being said, let me get into today's top five Tuesday, top 5 displays of real leadership. All week we've been discussing the difference between convenient and real leadership, and a lot of the things that I'm actually currently living through at the moment from a work standpoint, from an employee development standpoint, from a business owner standpoint, is dealing with deciphering and dealing with the folks that have a title, been around for a while, but they have moved into this frame, moved into this mindset in which they're going to be leaders when it's convenient versus being leaders, period. Versus saying to themselves, no matter how I personally feel about a situation, I'm going to do what's best for the organization that pays me. I'm going to do what's best for the organization that feeds me. All right. Great philosopher, Mr. Christopher Lloyd, also known as Lloyd Banks, once said, never bite the hand that feeds you. When you start getting into your feelings and you start doing things that's based upon your feelings versus what's best for the organization, that is biting the hand that's feeding you, and now ultimately you got to find another way to pay your bills. If you want to do that, then hey, you better have another alternative in terms of how you're gonna pay your bills. But you cannot be biting the hand that feeds you. No matter what, you have to be thinking about what's best for the organization. So all that being said, top 5, and this was a hard list, because I've been blessed enough to be around some incredible leaders, and I've seen so many great examples of what leadership actually looks like that it was hard to condense it into 5. And I'm pretty sure, I can almost guarantee that this is just gonna really just be a part 1 of many series in terms of real leadership versus convenient leadership. If you go back in a couple of my older podcast episodes, you heard me do a lot of series on weak management. So this is kind of in that same category in terms of just weak management, and you want to lead when it's convenient. So all that being said, number one example of real leadership, and these aren't in any official order. They're just, again, they're equally as great because it's all about a person deciding to do something in the moment that was not convenient for them. All right, not convenient to the things that they want to do with their life. So it's back in 2002 when I played for the White Oak Warriors. There was a situation where we moved. So that was the first year in which we moved from the Capital Beltway League to Pop Warner. Pop Warner is a well-known youth football organization, well-known youth football league. And we had our first game in Baltimore. I had our first game, grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, by the way. So we had our first game in Baltimore against the Northwood Rams. And what happened was, it was our first game ever in this league. And we didn't know that all the players were required to wear cups, right? Wear cups to protect the McNuggets, to protect the McNuggets. So anyway, we get to the game and we go through the registration and all that kind of stuff. And it comes out that, hey, look, we have to have a cup on, right? So Coach Bryant Davis, again, someone I have dubbed as my favorite coach that I've ever played for, he finds that out early in the morning, and he's like, oh shit, a lot of them don't got cups, because that wasn't something that was required of us of the previous league. So what he did was he took money out of his own pocket, he grabbed a couple other coaches and found the nearest Kmart right then and there, just bought a ton of cups, and we were able to play the game, win every game that year. And even in in certain games where we didn't have our cups, he was there always, no matter what, having a cup to make sure we had what we had to do registration-wise, right? So that's first one. Next one is my mother. My mother makes the list twice, and my mother is only on the list twice on this list. All right, so the first one that came to mind when I decided on this topic was a situation when it was cold. Again, I grew up in the Northeast, Silver Spring, Maryland, and it was really, really cold one day, and I had the only winter coat that I actually had at the time. The zipper had broken, right? For some reason, the zipper wasn't working, and this, that, and the third. So because we couldn't figure it out, I had to walk around with, wind blowing and stuff was getting into my chest. So they had a time where we were on our way to get a haircut. I was getting a haircut and she sees this thrift store. So she pulls me in the thrift store right away, and she asked the clerk, hey, you guys got any Velcro real quick? Any Velcro that you guys can stitch into a jacket just real quick to put to cover up his chest? And it was interesting because as we left, I looked at my mother. I'm like, man, you're constantly thinking about us, huh? And she goes, always, man. So that's number one. The second one was actually when I got a little older in life, was when I was down bad, 25 years old, lost everything, lost phone, car repossessed, didn't have a penny, didn't have any income at all because I tried to start this minor league football team and I had nothing. So what happened was I had to go back home, and this is what my mother did. She allowed me to drop her off to work and use her car to go look for a job, right? Go find work. Don't let anything hold you back, son. Don't let anything hold you back. So to this day, I have that mentality, that all the way grinding mentality, that focused mentality, because of the incredible examples I got from her. So that's the top three. That's the first three. Now the second three, the number four was with Pops. Good old man, still kicking with us, still around, getting himself right. So there was a time where my mother she came home, rushing home, and the car, I had this Mazda Protege that was handed down by my sister, and she hit the car. And because we live on a hill, the car goes rolling down the hill and it crashed. Thankfully, nobody actually got hurt, but at the end of the day, the car was just totaled. So my father and I, we went car shopping over the next couple of weeks, and we found this Saab that I personally wasn't for because I wanted a black car, but because, again, it was my father and all that kind of stuff. It was like, look, just go with the Saab because he has more experience when it comes to car shopping than me. So we went with the Saab, and when it came time to pay for the Saab, the money wasn't in his account, actually. It wasn't, whatever card he was using, it didn't work. So immediately he asked the lady, he goes, do you have a nearest bank? Where's your nearest bank? And as we're walking to the bank to figure this out, he tells me, hey, look, don't ever get too down on yourself. Instead, immediately find a solution. So he was on the way to the bank. He was explaining to me what equity is and why it's important to, be a homeowner. And when you have equity in the house, you can pull certain things from the house, yada, yada. And he was able to make whatever down payment needed to be made on that car, because he actually was a used car. So there really wasn't any payments at all. So it was just whatever you need to pay to get that car and get it done. And, got decent usage out of it. Again, I'm not going to go in on the Saab, but in that period, I learned about equity, learned about the importance of ownership, learned about a lot of different things in regards to just real leadership. And the final one was my older sister, being that we grew up in we're a football family, because, I was so dedicated to the game of ball. I think it was a cruise or something when my parents went on, and it was just my sister and I in the house, and football was starting up, and she had to drop me to practice. So it's this early in the year, and there was still registration and all that kind of stuff. So my sister, she drops me off in practice. She thought that's all she had to do, but when it came to registering me, there was actually a payment that needed to be made. And you gotta say, she's just a teenager at this point, so she's like, what the hell? I thought I was just dropping you off to practice. So she made whatever payment she needed to be made. It was like a deposit for the equipment, for the pads and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, at the end of the year, when we returned our equipment back, she was told that she was gonna get the money back. But what happened was the president of the organization, shout out to James White, he sold us the jersey, the actual jersey, and he gave us the jersey and goes, you guys aren't gonna be getting a deposit back because you're gonna keep the jersey or whatever it is. So that my sister ended up just paying the registration fee, and she just had to eat it. So again, those are real leadership. That's not convenient. That's not something where this comes up and now I'm gonna pretend I'm the leader, but when it's not convenient to me, then I'm not gonna do it. That's real examples of real leadership. Again, a coach who decided to take his own money out and pay for cups for a bunch of kids that weren't his. Mother who decides, hey, my son is chest out, let me find something to put some Velcro on there. Or, hey, I know he's struggling right now. He tried to do something great. Now he don't got a job, a car, nothing. I'm going to let him use my car while I work and go find a job. Father, again, there's a car that would be good value and don't got it, but I'm going to, I'm going to figure out situations to get it to him. And my sister, again, who I'm not her son, but she was able to, pay whatever she needed to pay. All those are real leadership examples, and I have a ton of them. But just take this away from it from a standpoint of, hey, if I'm the business owner, I got to have the position. I got to position myself to be a real leader, not a convenient leader. Because I'm telling you right now, based upon what I'm living through right now, the convenient leaders, eventually they get figured out, and they will move on from the people who have the mindset of a convenient leader. Real leaders do exactly what I'm doing now, and deciding to commit to something and making it work. So all that being said, again, more than likely won't be able to jump on the live stream today. I'll jump on tomorrow, but still make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this out to anybody that needs to hear it. Main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work is makeitmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one, Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.